Hello booktubers, it's Tiffany again with The Crafty Home, and I'm going to do a review of some Roald Dahl books that I finished in February. And so I'm going to review Matilda by Roald Dahl, and James and the Giant Peach, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I'll start with James and the Giant Peach. Now, I don't think, if I read this when I was younger, I don't remember reading it. It's a really short read, and it's for ages 8 through 12. The reading level is 4.5, it says on the back. I know my third grader, who is 8, would easily be able to read this. Now, I know I've seen the movie. Of course, I don't remember much from the movie because I have a hard time remembering things. So, yeah, that didn't really ruin the story for me, but I really thought this was a wonderful book. I love the characters and just how outlandish it all is, which is how Roald Dahl's books normally are. So if you're used to that, this book won't disappoint you. So yeah, it's just the story of a boy who's taken care of by his aunts, if you can call it that. He's essentially made their slave after his parents died. He lives with them and they treat him horribly. And then one day a creature comes and has some special, I believe it was special food, if I remember, or it was dust or something. See, I told you I have a bad memory. I need to do these reviews right away. But green glowing crystals, there if you read the back. Anyway, he trips, he spills them, and the magic goes on the peach tree that's never bore fruit before, and some of the insects, and it ends up producing a humongous peach, a giant peach, you may say. And so then the boy gets inside of it with the insects, and they go on a fabulous journey, and so it's just the story of their adventures. So, I was really hoping, I want to talk a little bit about the appropriateness of this for a child. Some of you know, if you read my blog, or you've probably heard me, we homeschool, we're Christian, we're conservative, and so I kind of read this, you know, with my 8-year-old in mind. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I actually need to talk to my husband more about it. But I wanted to share with those of you who may also have kids some of the things that kind of concerned me, but the more I think about them, I may let him read it anyway, but they're good things to talk about. So one of the things is, if you don't like magic, there are magic crystals. However, you could easily talk about it as being fanciful and not true, and it's just, I mean, it had to be used in the story. How else would you get a giant peach, you know? So to me, that wasn't really a huge deal. It's very short and brief, and could easily be discussed. So if that's a big deal for you, that is in there, but like I said, it's maybe a sentence, literally, if not 2 sentences, and that's it. And then the centipede is kind of a grumpy old man fella, and I think it's a centipede, and he tends to call people donkeys, but the biblical word for donkeys. So I do have little ears around, and I want people to be able to watch these videos. So anyway, so I don't know, if he had been talking about donkeys, I wouldn't have as big of a deal with it, but he is calling people that. In our house, that would be a bad word, unless you're literally referring to a donkey, like reading the King James Version of the Bible, it's in there. But so I don't know, the book's really great other than that, and so I don't know, I need to talk to my husband. Maybe my son is pretty mature, and I think that if we explained it to him, that it might be okay. Like I said, I need to talk to my husband about that. There's far worse words and things that could be said, and it just, anyway, I was actually surprised to see it in a children's book, especially an older children's book. Not that it's ancient or anything, but still, I was kind of surprised. But I still think that it's a great book, and I'm kind of leaning more towards letting him read it, but like I said, I have to talk to my husband and we have to discuss that. So that's James and the Giant Peach. And if I ramble on like that about every book, this is going to take forever. Anyway, this one, the other one I read, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. Duh, they're all by Roald Dahl, but anyway, I love the older movie, not the new one with Johnny Depp, but I love the older movie, and I don't believe I'd ever read the book. And I loved reading the book. I loved seeing the differences and kind of thinking about them and going, well, yeah, that would have been hard to do in a movie, and I see why they changed it or whatever. But a lot of it's really accurate, which I thought was cool. I love this story. At the very end, Willy Wonka does use the donkey word. So I guess that was a favorite of Roald Dahl's to put in his book. So be warned, but I think it's only in here once, so it's really not a big deal at all. So I'd say out of the three I read, this is the least, like, controversial, I guess. This one doesn't have on the back the ages and reading level. I'd say it's the same as James and the Giant Peach, like 8 to 12. I was going to tell you the actual reading level, and I don't see it in here. So, anyway. But this is a great book. I forgot to put that in my books I'm reading video, but I'm trying to read the other one, Charlie and the... It's the one in outer space. I can't remember what it's called, the glass elevator. I think it's just Charlie and the glass elevator, and it goes to outer space. Yeah, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I'm having a harder time getting into that one. So, it just seems a little more outlandish than this is, but that's Roald Dahl for you. So, anyway, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I highly recommend. It's a very quick read, and yeah, even if you've seen the movies, you're still going to enjoy it and enjoy the little things that are different in it. And then, by far my favorite Roald Dahl book has been for years and years and years, since I was a young child, is Matilda. Yeah, I love it. It even says Chicago Sun-Times, Dahl's best book yet. Personally, the reason I love this book is because Matilda loves books, and I can totally relate to her going to the library and picking books. We used to live, when I was in 3rd grade, we moved to Alaska, and I remember I loved our local libraries here. I could walk from our house to our library, ride my bike, and I would do that like every weekend and pick out books. But in Alaska, we lived on a really small island, and so I remember when we found out that I could order books from, and we didn't have the internet, so I'm not sure how we did it. We must have done it completely by mail. But I remember there was a way, and I could pick books that I wanted to read, and then they'd come from like this Alaska State Library in a big box, and you got to keep them longer than a normal library book, obviously. And I remember doing that a couple times, and I loved it. A big box of books to read, and then you sent them back. Anyway, so I can really relate to Matilda. And this book is, oh, it's great. It's got some great outlandish aspects, and it's just, I by far think it's the best book. So, having said that, oh, and it's ages 8 to 12, reading level 6.0. I'm really not sure what reading level means, but hopefully you know. I homeschool, I don't know, I just read it and go, yeah, my son could read that. This one, though, if I have my son read it, we will definitely need to talk about some things. First of all, the parents are, you know, shown as kind of stupid because they were, and she plays tricks on them to get back at them for things, which fits the story perfectly. However, I would want to explain to my son that that's not okay. This book is written as fanciful and very outlandish and hyperbole, and so we could even talk about those literary devices and, yeah, how it's not okay to do some of the things she does to her parents. So that's a good talking point. Does it ruin the book? Not in my opinion. It still makes it good to read. And yeah, there's just little things you want to talk about. The Trench Bowl is obviously outlandish. I can't imagine a teacher being allowed to stay at a school if they're like that. So, you know, that's something to talk about. And yeah, and then there's the magic aspect of it. So if you have a problem with magic, that is in there. Although at the end they kind of talk that away because she doesn't really have the power anymore. So they say, you know, that her brain was just so bored with the stuff at school because she was so smart that it like released its energy in another way. So I don't know, that's another thing to talk about. I don't think it makes the book not appropriate. So anyway, those are some things though that I didn't want to share in case there are issues for you, so that you could make wise decisions for your children, because as parents we do need to you know, carefully select what's right for our family and for our children and for their age. And so I want to be able to help you to do that. So that's Matilda, by far one of my favorite children's books. I would have to say this is my favorite. There's a couple. That Little Woman is close second, although I kind of see that as a little bit older. So I'd say in this age range, Matilda is probably by far my favorite. Although there's some Judy Blume books kind of. But Matilda, yeah, I'd have to say it's Matilda. I'm very indecisive on that, however. So those are the 3 Roald Dahl books that I read last month. I have a few more that I plan on reading, although I might take a little break from Roald Dahl for a while and then read them later. Unless I feel like a quick read after having read Inkheart and Inkspell and Ink Death, because those are big books, and so I might need just a quick, easy book. So I might finish some more Roald Dahl. So anyway, yeah, that's reviews on Roald Dahl, and make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and share with all your friends. And I'll chat with you later. Bye!